Now, we may be in the midst of an economic slowdown, but as you've heard from the many successful entrepreneurs on this programme, there are still opportunities to make a success out of business. And all week, you've been sending us questions about setting up and running your own company. Well, we've shown you Andrew Cave from the Federation of Small Businesses. He'll be giving us some answers in just a moment. But first, if you're struggling to persuade the bank to give you a business loan, don't fret, there is another way. Community development finance institutions operate across the country and they don't make any profits, but they do use a mix of public and private money to provide cash to local businesses. Well, our man on the road, Rob Pittham, went to Edinburgh to see how they operate.
The Mackenzie School in Leith in Edinburgh opened in April this year. It specialises in teaching English to foreign students of school age. Its co-founder Chris Mooney says it got off to a good start, but when he went back to the banks to raise more money for expanding, he found the climate had changed. They went to 11 banks and were turned down by all of them.
Of course, you develop a relationship with your bank manager, and you know, it's all very friendly, and you start to trust in your bank. You know, they're your friends, and then all of a sudden the credit crunch and everything changed. It was very much, I felt there was a bit of a barrier.
That's where Sandra McLean came in. She's from DSL, a CDFI that's based in Scotland and which specialises in helping small and medium businesses like this.
We lend to basically all different types of people. You know, we lend to kind of your sort of, you know, one-man band type businesses, your plumbers, your joiners, your hairdressers, and then we lend to bigger organisations where DSL will maybe just fill the gap. So it could be that the clients have been to the bank, you know, they have maybe say £200,000 to raise, they've managed to raise say 180, and they've still got that shortfall of £20,000. But the problem is that if they can't raise that 20,000, the whole package falls apart. So that's where someone like DSL comes in, and they're very, very important and crucial to the overall package.
The Mackenzie School was able to borrow £50,000 from DSL, a vital lifeline to make sure this fledgling business can keep growing.
It's a fine old Victorian building which was originally a marine college, but it has needed some money spent. In fact, that's where most of the loan has gone, on updating facilities here and even employing new staff. And that's exactly the kind of project that CDFIs like to help.
There are 75 CDFIs in the UK. Their average loan is around £28,000. Last year they helped 5,542 businesses, and altogether they have a loan portfolio worth £243 million. Traditionally their interest rate was slightly higher than banks, but as bank rates have risen they can often be cheaper, and they're more and more in demand.
Yes, we're seeing a lot more businesses knocking on our doors. I mean, it's not the same everywhere. I mean, there's one CDFI I was talking to in Bolton who said that we're not getting many people coming to us because people are reluctant to start or expand a business right now. But the general picture that we're seeing in the rest of the country is a massive increase.
So it's not just here in Edinburgh. CDFIs can be found right across the UK, and as our economic problems look set to deepen, they're bound to play an even bigger part in business life. If you want more information on them, by the way, you can go to their website, and that's cdfa.org.uk, cdfa.org.uk.
So let's get to the emails with Andrew. Let's start first of all with Chris Hawkins. He wants to know if any further announcements have been made about the government's proposed small business finance scheme.
Yeah, this is the £1 billion fund that was announced in the pre-budget report, and it originated as an FSB proposal, and as far as we're concerned it should be available for small businesses by the 1st of January. There haven't been any further announcements at the moment, but we have meetings this afternoon with officials who are responsible for this, and we will be reinforcing the case that it has to be available sooner rather than later, and ideally right at the beginning of January. OK,
hopefully that will come through. Graham Evan hopes to set up his own eco-friendly business. He wants to know if there may be any local grants that can help him set this up.
There are, yeah. The government is obviously very keen to lend and to give money to small businesses that are looking to set up eco-businesses or patent products that are eco-friendly. So the best source of information on that is Business Link, also the Department of Environment and the Carbon Trust as well are always willing to help. OK,
on a similar topic, Penelope Belinas wants to know if there are any grants specifically for women setting up in business.
There are. I mean, just to put this into context...
And should there be?
That's another question. I believe that there should be, definitely. There are over £2 billion worth of grants out there, and the vast majority of those go unrewarded. Earlier this year, the government set up the Aspire programme, which sets aside £25 million for female entrepreneurs. So the money is there, and people should go and claim what they can.
Vince Law has been very productive. He's invented something which would help reduce the impact of flooding. Now, he wants to know, how do you go about patenting a product?
Well, the first step is to go to the patent office, and you will be set up with a patent attorney who will give you advice and will cover your case. It's important, and small businesses fall foul of this quite often. Over 60% of patents in this country are registered by small businesses, but too often they think they're just operating in a local market, so they will just patent their product for the UK. They really need a worldwide patent, because although they might not want to export that product, the last thing you want is your product being copied by somebody on the other side of the world and then sold back into your local market.
OK, good advice there. Russell Barnes asks, what kind of insurances should a one-man company look for when setting up a new business? He's thinking perhaps liability insurance.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the size of your business. What's important is if you have interactions with customers or just the general public, you really have to have public liability insurance. So, for example, if you're a roofer, you need that just in case the roof's going to fall in. Or if you own a cafe, if one of your customers gets poisoned, public liability insurance is essential.
Definitely. Peter Alderslade wants to know whether the money in his business bank account is covered in the same way, up to £50,000, in the same way that individuals' bank accounts and their savings are covered.
Yes, it is.
It is, absolutely. Yep. OK, that's good. Bob Sherrard says, will the bank bailout make it easier for small businesses to get a loan?
In theory, yes.
Because they haven't shown much sign of being very free with the cash, have they?
The bank bailout, I mean, the government didn't save the banks for the bank's sake. They saved the banks so that the rest of the economy could be saved. The problem is that the recapitalisation of the banks won't really be felt until the beginning of next year. So it will take time to feed through. The second problem is confidence. At the moment, banks, and particularly banks at branch level, are lacking that confidence to be lending. So it will take time to get started again, but we're starting to see that change. HSBC made an announcement earlier this week. Other banks will follow. Now,
we've heard from a lot of entrepreneurs throughout the programme who say, think of the opportunities out there, even in a downturn. Have some faith, go for that idea. But Natasha's asking, really, given the current economic climate, is this a good time to set up business?
Well, when you look at the news, the first thing you want to do is run and hide. But if you talk to a serial entrepreneur, they will often say that the best time to set up a business is in an economic downturn. There are opportunities out there, there are niches in the market, and economic downturns actually create that. I mean, if you're a cobbler at the moment, people want to mend their shoes rather than buy new ones, so they're doing a roaring trade. But the same rules apply. Get a business plan and talk to as many other entrepreneurs as possible. Talk to as many entrepreneurs who operated in a recession before, so that you learn from their mistakes rather than having to make them yourself.
Now, I asked Andy Street earlier how sudden the economic turn in the economic climate has come to him and how much of a shock it's been. What are your members telling you now? How are they feeling about the economic climate and the future for small businesses?
Well, as of today, we understand that there are over 80 businesses closing every day. In the depth of the last recession, there were 1,000 a week, so we're not quite at that extent yet. Our members are feeling, in some ways, they're at the centre of a perfect storm. Their overheads are increasing, payment terms from bigger businesses are increasing, and they can't get access to finance. So they are feeling the pinch, and I think that we need rapid action from the government now to narrow or broaden out that the sort of like the recession, or to make it narrower next year.
OK, Andrew, thanks for your thoughts on small businesses. Andy, you've been listening. Now, I know John Lewis was part of the agreement with the government to help speed up payments to small businesses. Why did you think it was necessary for John Lewis to get involved in this?
Yes, well, what we always hear from our small business suppliers is that cash is king, and never more so than at this time. And John Lewis has always believed in paying promptly and exactly on the terms that we've committed to. So we absolutely wanted to make a virtue of that and support the government's initiative.
And so what are you hearing from suppliers, your suppliers, particularly niche suppliers, smaller businesses?
Yeah, we're hearing that the problem they have is lack of predictability of demand. So what we're trying to do is to be really, really clear with them what our commitment is to them and absolutely stick to what we've promised.
So if you're hearing any noise, it's one of these special sellers over Christmas. I'm assuming this is one of the best sellers now over Christmas in John Lewis.
It's one of the nation's favourites, Biscuit the dog, yes.
And you bought up, did you buy up Woolworths supplies of these?
That is true, yes.
So you're taking, what does the Woolworths collapse mean to you now?
Well, the first
Is it
thing
an
to say,
opportunity?
It's very sad to see it from the point of view of the 30,000 people employed there, but actually it does offer opportunity for others. And take a market like toys, where they had a leading share, we will pick up some of that, hence the dog.
Andy, good to speak with you, and Andrew Cave, thank you very much for joining us.